The war between humans and the Varathi Empire had burned through 9 long years. Planets that once shone with cities now floated as ash in the cold darkness. The stars themselves seemed tired of watching endless death. Every soldier on both sides had lost something: a home, a friend, a part of their soul. Sergeant Aaron Hale, a young soldier from Earth, had fought in dozens of battles. He had seen comrades fall, and still he stood holding the line again and again. He was not a hero by choice and only by survival. To him, war had no glory left. It was only noise, pain, and the smell of burning metal. On the frozen world of Vraxis, everything changed. His unit was sent to capture a relay outpost belonging to the Varathi, a tall, scaled alien species known for their strength and brutal honor. But what started as a simple mission became a nightmare. The Varathi were waiting. Ambush. Fire lit up the snow. His men screamed as plasma bolts tore through armor. Aaron fought until his rifle overheated, then switched to his knife. He moved like a desperate animal, surviving minute by minute. When the smoke cleared, only silence remained. Silence and corpses half buried in frost. Aaron was bleeding from his shoulder, his breath visible in the freezing air. He tried to stand, but his body refused. Then he saw them. Towering figures in black armor, their eyes glowing amber through helmets. The Varathi. He raised his knife, weak but unbroken. "Come on then," he whispered. "Do it." But they didn't kill him. One of them pressed a metallic rod against his neck, and darkness swallowed him whole. When Aaron woke, he wasn't sure if he was alive. The room was made of dark glass, humming faintly. The air smelled strange, sharp and metallic. His wounds were closed, but not by human medicine. Bands of soft light pulsed across his arms, scanning him. He realized then he was a prisoner. Days passed. He was questioned, studied, and observed. The Varathi scientists spoke in low tones, their voices vibrating like thunder. They asked about human weapons, about command codes, about Earth itself. Aaron gave them nothing. But among the cold faces, there was one who stood out. Tall, graceful, her scales gleaming silver blue under the light. Her eyes were bright violet, filled not with hatred but curiosity. When she entered, the other Varathi bowed deeply. Queen Zirana. Aaron didn't know it at the time, but he was standing before the ruler of an empire. She studied him like one might study a storm, dangerous, unpredictable, yet strangely beautiful. "So," she said, her voice deep but calm, "this is the creature that defies my fleets." Aaron met her gaze, refusing to look away. "Creature? That's one way to describe a man." The guards shifted nervously, ready to strike, but Zirana raised her hand. A small smile curved her lips. "You are brave. Or foolish, maybe both," Aaron said. For a moment, the alien queen and the human soldier just stared at each other. Two enemies bound by war, yet connected by something neither could name. Days turned into weeks. Zirana returned often, asking strange questions. She wanted to know about oceans, about music, about Earth's blue sky. She listened when Aaron described the sound of rain on rooftops, the warmth of sunlight on skin, and the laughter of children. To her, those things were like myths. Her world had none of them. The Varathi homeworld was dark and dry, its sky forever covered by storm clouds. She said almost softly, "Your people fight like beasts, yet speak of beauty." "You confuse me, human." Aaron chuckled, even though his throat ached. "We're complicated like that." Something in her expression changed that day. The queen began to look at him not as an enemy, but as something else. Then one evening, the base trembled. Distant explosions echoed through the halls. Sirens screamed in the alien language. Someone had attacked the research facility. Zirana's guards rushed to her side. Aaron, still half weak, saw part of the ceiling collapse. Without thinking, he ran forward. He pushed her out of the way, covering her with his body as debris rained down. Pain seared through his arm. Darkness crept in again. When he opened his eyes, he was lying on a bed of silver light. The queen sat beside him, her hand, clawed yet gentle, resting over his. "Why?" she asked softly. "Why would you save me?" Aaron looked at her, his voice weak but steady. "Because it's what humans do." She didn't answer. But the look in her eyes, half shock, half wonder, said everything. And from that moment, something in her heart began to change. Aaron Hale woke up to the soft hum of alien machines. His wounds were gone, his body bandaged in a strange glowing material that pulsed like gentle light. For a moment he thought he was dreaming. Then he saw her. Queen Shirana standing at the edge of the room watching him silently. Her silver-blue scales shimmered under the dim light. There was power in her presence, but also something else. Something human eyes could sense but not name. "You heal quickly," she said, her voice calm but curious. Aaron pushed himself up, groaning. "I didn't have much of a choice. You aliens don't make comfortable hospitals." A faint smile touched her lips. "You saved my life, human. Do you regret it?" He shook his head. "No, that's not how we work." That answer seemed to stay with her. She didn't reply and only turned to leave. But from that day onward, she came back more often. The Varathi had decided Aaron would not be executed. Instead, he became part of an experiment, a study of human biology, emotions, and endurance. But to Aaron, it didn't feel like an experiment anymore. It felt like he was slowly becoming something else inside that glass cage. The Queen herself visited him almost every evening. She would ask questions, not about war, not about weapons, but about Earth. "What does rain feel like?" she asked once. Aaron smiled faintly. "Cold, sometimes warm. It falls everywhere, makes the ground smell alive. Some people dance in it, some just watch. And sunlight?" she asked another day. "It feels like home," he said quietly. "It reminds you you're alive." The Queen tilted her head. Her eyes softened, and for a moment she didn't look like a ruler. She looked like someone who longed for something she had never known. The more they spoke, the more the walls between them began to fall. Aaron learned that Shirana had ruled for over 2 centuries. Her people saw her as divine, untouchable, emotionless, but she confessed that she felt trapped, chained by duty, by tradition, by fear of appearing weak. "You humans," she said one night, "you break everything you touch. Yet somehow from the ruins you build again." Aaron smiled tiredly. "Yeah, guess that's what we're best at, surviving." Her gaze lingered on him then, longer than before. One evening, an explosion rocked the palace walls. The Queen rushed to Aaron's chamber, guards shouting behind her. "What happened?" Aaron asked, standing quickly. "Rebels," she said, her voice cold with command. "They strike at my rule, but they will be crushed." As the alarms blared, Aaron noticed a small cut on her arm. The Queen ignored it, but he didn't. Without thinking, he reached out and held her wrist. "You're bleeding," she looked down in surprise. No one had ever touched her like that. No one had ever dared. "It's nothing," she whispered. "Maybe to you," he said, tearing a piece from his shirt. "But to me, it matters." He tied the cloth around her arm, clumsy but gentle. Their eyes met, human brown and Varathi violet. Something passed between them, something that neither science nor language could explain. After the attack was over, she returned to him. Her guards waited outside, but she entered alone. She looked at him, not like a subject or a soldier, but like a man who had shaken her world. "You risked your life for me again," she said softly. Aaron shrugged. "I guess it's becoming a habit." "Why?" she asked again. "Why protect your enemy?" Aaron hesitated, then smiled faintly. "Because you don't feel like one anymore." The Queen's breath caught. She had no answer for that. Instead, she took a step closer. Her hand, elegant and scaled, brushed against his face, curious and uncertain. His skin was warm, rough, human. She felt the pulse beneath it, fast and alive. "This is what fear feels like?" she murmured. Aaron shook his head. "No, that's something else." Neither spoke after that. The silence said more than words ever could. Days passed, but something between them had changed. The scientists noticed her visits had grown longer. The Queen who once spoke of empire now lingered in the human cell, just to listen to him breathe, to hear his strange stories about the sky. The guards whispered behind her back. The council grew restless. They said the Queen had grown weak, distracted by her curiosity for a lowly creature of flesh. But she didn't care. Because deep down, Shirana felt something she had never known, a warmth that no victory or throne had ever given her, and though she didn't yet understand it, the seed of something impossible had been planted that night, something that would change both of their worlds forever. Time moved differently inside the Varathi palace. Days felt like dreams and nights were heavy with silence. For Aaron Hale, every sunrise reminded him that he was still a prisoner, yet somehow he didn't want to escape anymore. Not because of comfort, not because of fear, because of her. Queen Shirana visited him daily now, What started as curiosity had turned into something neither of them dared to name. Sometimes they spoke for hours. Sometimes they just sat quietly, sharing the stillness. For two beings from different stars, silence itself had become a language. In his life had prepared him for this moment. "You're doing amazing," he whispered, gripping her hand, trying to steady her and himself at the same time. "Just a little more. You can do this." Her violet eyes, gleaming with pain and determination, locked onto his. "Aaron, I'm scared." He shook his head, leaning closer. "Don't be. We're not alone. We're together, and we will see this through." She took a shuddering breath and nodded as another wave of pain hit her. The chamber was filled with the sounds of the outside world. Battle cries, alarms, the distant roar of engines. But inside, in this small sanctuary, it was only the queen, the soldier, and the life that connected them. Hours passed. Sweat soaked their clothes, muscles ached, and yet Sirana's spirit did not break. Aaron never left her side, whispering encouragements, holding her hand, keeping her grounded as the labor grew more intense. Then, at the final moment, a cry pierced the air, high, clear, and alive. Aaron's breath caught. He looked down and saw a small, fragile being in Sirana's arms. Its skin shimmered faintly silver blue, and its eyes were bright, reflecting both human warmth and Varathi intensity. He's perfect," Aaron whispered, his voice trembling. He reached out, brushing the tiny hand of the newborn. It grasped his finger, tiny claws and fingers intertwined, and he felt a connection stronger than anything he had ever known. Sirana, panting and weak, cradled the child against her chest. "Our child," she whispered, voice breaking with awe. "A part of both of us. Something no one has ever seen before." Tears blurred Aaron's vision. We did it," he said softly. "We made life," but outside the palace was falling. The rebels had breached the lower halls, their weapons lighting the corridors with deadly fire. Smoke seeped into the chamber. Aaron's chest tightened. He had no choice. They had to escape, and they had to protect the child. "Sirana, we can't stay here," he shouted over the chaos. "The council will destroy everything if they find him." Her claws brushed his cheek, weak but deliberate. "Then you must take him," she said, voice trembling but fierce. "Keep him safe. Protect him, whatever it takes." Aaron nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. "I promise. I swear." Her eyes softened, and for a moment she looked not like a queen but like a mother. The battle outside seemed distant, the noise fading in the presence of this tiny life that had no name yet. "Then go," she whispered. "Run and survive." He picked up the child, careful, reverent, as if holding the entire universe in his hands. The infant stirred, tiny eyes blinking at him, aware of its new world. Aaron's heart ached. Love, fear, and determination all twisting together. They moved through the secret corridors beneath the palace, smoke curling around their boots, sparks falling like rain. Sirana leaned on him, exhausted but proud, guiding him to a hidden exit that led to the hangar. Every step was a battle, every breath a gift. As they reached the hangar, Aaron saw a small shuttle, half-damaged but functional. "We can make it," he said, voice trembling. "We have to." Sirana rested a hand on his shoulder, eyes glowing softly in the dim light. "You are brave. More than any human I have met," she said. "Go, protect him. Our child." Aaron nodded, tears burning in his eyes. "I won't fail. I swear on my life." He placed the newborn gently inside the shuttle, wrapping him in soft silver cloth. The infant's small hands reached out, instinctively clutching Aaron's finger. The soldier's heart clenched. This was the life he would fight for, the symbol of hope and love in a galaxy built on war. As the engines roared to life, Sirana kissed his forehead lightly, a farewell, a blessing, and a promise. "Our child will live," she whispered. "Because of you, Aaron." He turned toward her, anguish and love warring in his chest. But before he could take her, the first wave of rebels burst into the hangar. Aaron's hand tightened around the controls. There was no time to look back, now only forward, only survival, only hope. And as the shuttle lifted off into the smoke-filled sky, carrying the half-human, half-Varathi child away from the flames of war, Aaron felt something deep inside him shift forever. He had survived countless battles. He had faced death in every form, but nothing mattered more than this, a life he would protect with every fiber of his being. The war outside could rage, the palace could fall, but the future had begun. And it had the small silver-eyed heartbeat of a miracle, their child. The shuttle hurtled through the stars, leaving behind the burning palace of the Varathi Empire. Inside, Aaron Hale held the newborn tightly, his hands trembling. The child's tiny heartbeat was like a fragile drum of hope against the fear that clawed at him. Every nerve in his body screamed that they were not safe yet, that the enemies of the Queen were still hunting them, still trying to destroy the life they had created. He looked down at the infant, silver eyes blinking slowly, unaware of the chaos that had birthed him. Aaron's lips trembled. "I promise. I'll protect you," he whispered. "No matter what, I swear it." Beside him, in the dim light of the cockpit, Sirana's face appeared in his mind again. He could see her violet eyes, fierce yet gentle, her hand resting on her stomach where the child had been. He swallowed hard. She had sent him away against her own desire to save their child. That was the last thing she had given him, and he would carry it forever. The shuttle's alarms blared suddenly, warning of approaching enemy ships. Aaron's grip tightened. He had flown through battlefields before, but nothing felt as desperate as this moment. The life of a child, half human, half Varathi, rested entirely in his hands. Every maneuver he made was precise, urgent, and filled with terror. He imagined Sirana back in the palace, fighting through the last waves of the rebellion, her body weakened by labor, yet her spirit unbroken. She had chosen love over safety, courage over survival, and now he had to honor that choice. A flicker of movement outside caught his eye. Enemy fighters were closing in, plasma weapons glinting in the dark void. Aaron cursed under his breath, hands flying over controls. The shuttle lurched, dodging blasts. Sparks showered the cockpit, but he pressed on. The child whimpered, and Aaron whispered soothingly, "It's okay. It's okay. Daddy's here. You're safe." For hours he navigated through asteroid belts and debris fields, every moment a delicate balance between life and death. Sleep and rest were impossible. His mind kept returning to Sirana, wondering if she was alive, if the palace still stood, if their home, their world, had been reduced to ash. Finally, he reached a hidden human outpost on a distant moon, a place far from Varathi reach. He landed carefully, cradling the infant. The engines cut out and silence replaced the chaos. Aaron exhaled shakily, heart pounding. For a moment, he simply stared at the tiny life in his arms. The child's eyes met his, and he saw something beyond fear, beyond pain, something powerful and hopeful. "I've kept you safe," he whispered, "and I will keep you safe no matter what." Meanwhile, back at the palace, Sirana stood among the ruins, her body battered, her armor cracked, and her crown shattered. Her guards had fallen. The rebellion had been fierce, but she had fought with everything she had. Now, standing alone, she raised her hand to the sky, closing her eyes. Somewhere far away she felt it, a distant pulse, faint but unmistakable. Her child lived. Somewhere across the void, the life she had carried, the life she had risked everything for, had survived. Tears filled her eyes. She had failed to protect the palace, her empire, but she had succeeded in the most important way. A quiet smile broke through the exhaustion and pain. "Live," she whispered, voice soft but unyielding. "Live and grow strong. Live for us, for love, for hope." Aaron spent the next hours preparing for the future. He wrapped the infant in blankets, checked supplies, and mapped escape routes. Every decision was heavy with responsibility, but he did not falter. For the first time in his life, he understood the weight of true purpose, not fighting wars for medals or glory, but fighting to preserve life. He imagined the day the child would grow, half human, half Varathi, bridging two worlds that had been enemies for centuries, a future where hatred would be challenged by hope. And he smiled faintly despite the exhaustion, knowing that he had survived not for himself, but for this tiny heartbeat in his hands. As the first light of the distant sun touched the moon's surface, Aaron finally allowed himself to rest. He placed the child carefully in a small cradle, brushing a hand over the tiny silver eyes. "Sleep now," he whispered. "Tomorrow we begin our journey. Tomorrow the universe will know that love can survive even the darkest war." And somewhere far away, Sirana looked up at the same sun, knowing that the child she had carried, the child she had risked everything for, was alive. Their worlds were apart, but the bond they shared would never be broken. In that moment, In two distant corners of space, love, hope, and courage shone brighter than any star. Years passed, but the memory of that fateful day never left Aaron Hale. The war between humans and the Varathi slowly faded into history, yet the story of the queen, the soldier, and their child grew in whispers, then in legend. On a distant human colony, far from the reach of the Varathi Empire, Aaron watched his son play beneath the twin suns. The boy's silver-blue eyes sparkled with curiosity and intelligence, a perfect blend of human warmth and alien grace. Aaron knelt beside him, brushing dirt from his hair, and felt a swell of pride unlike anything he had ever known. "You remind me of someone,"